Hello again. So we're going to continue, try and finish making this wooden finger spinner. These are the templates I made last time in Sketchup. Printed off several copies. So I plan to make 3 of these if I can. I've got 10 bearings. And this is the piece of wood, rescued from firewood, roughly sawn down on a table saw, very roughly. So I'm going to need to do some work on this. Now the bearings, standard 608 bearings, they measure 22mm across, just under on these dodgy calipers from Maplin, and they are 7mm thick, so I'm planning to make the wood about 8mm thick. It needs to be planed down. Now the key to getting these holes the right size and not having to try and cut these by hand or some other dodgy method is to use these beauties. A set of Forstner bits, and I've got one here 22mm. It's actually written on the shank there, not sure if that's visible, but this is a 22mm Forstner bit. Let's see how it measures up. Comes in slightly under, but that should give us a nice round hole, approximately the right size that we can then finesse to make the bearings fit. So I'm going to test that out first of all before I do too much else. Now for the little, I'm also going to use a Forstner bit for the little radius here. So when we mark this out, we can cut a circular hole here and then blend the big radius into that later. That's going to be about 10mm, which I've got also in this set here. This set of bits came from Rutland's, who supply a lot of this kind of woodworking tools in the UK. And the main job I've got to do today is get this bit of wood properly flattened, and I'm going to thin it down in my planer. It's currently 13.5mm. I'm going to thin this down to say about 8. I think if we get the bearings, it doesn't need to be exactly the same thickness as the bearings, it can be a little bit thicker. And then we can start cutting out the templates. Okay, so we've got this planed down one fairly flat side now, but it's still 13mm thick, so I've got 4mm to come off, 6mm to come off, so I'm going to keep feeding it through the planer now. I've got the machine set up for planing, thicknessing, and just keep running it through, get these fuzzies off, get this nice and flat, and get it down to about 7mm thick. So it's down to about 7, just over 7mm. Allow for a bit of sanding, that should be fine. And yes, I did just screw that up, so I was going for 8mm stick on the wood, but I went for 7 by mistake. Forgot my measurements, so we've now got a piece of wood that is almost exactly the same thickness as the bearing, but that should be fine. I'm going to press on regardless. So I'm going to cut out these templates now and spray mount them onto the wood. Now let's see how close this is. Wow. Awesome. A little bit loose if anything, but a very good fit. Can't actually feel it wobbling at all. It's going to have to be glued in. I thought it might be a press fit, but that'll have to be glued in, but that looks pretty good. So, final job here is just to cut around these shapes, the remaining part of the outer shape with the bandsaw. Got to plug it in first. That looks about right. Not that I've ever held a finger spinner in my hand before. It's the first one I've seen this close up. So, on to the favourite job, sanding. So, the main shaping is pretty much done, so I'm going to try and sand off the template now, get both sides a bit smoother. That's the edges all sanded down. Still got a few scratches there, but I think that looks pretty nice. Nice, feels very nice and smooth. Pretty close to the template that we started with. So that's pretty much ready for finish now. I'll put that to one side. So what I do want to do with these bearings is take the shields out and maybe give them a bit of a clean. They run nice and smoothly, but they do stop almost immediately. There's also a bit of some grease or something in there that's dragging a little bit. So these 608 bearings pretty much always come shielded on both sides, which is this slightly gold coloured shield on this particular bearings. So I'm going to try and dig those out and then wash the bearings in a bit of white spirit, get the grease out, and hopefully they'll look nicer and run smoother as well. I'm not quite sure how to get the shield out of here. I think I just have to poke at it with an awl and see if it comes out. It must be a very thin piece of metal there, I think. See if we can get underneath the edge somehow. I've got under that one alright. Eventually, just try and get underneath from the inside. Maybe that's the key. Oh, that one's popped out alright. Okay, let's try that again on this one. So just start near the inside diameter. Get your pokey thing in there. Try and get under it. There we go. Lever it out. That's that one. On the other side. There we go. That's it. There you go. There's a lot of grease inside these, so that's going to spin a lot easier once the grease is out. Okay, so I've got 4 de-shielded. I'm going to do a few more and then I'm going to dump them all in a pot of white spirit for a while. Okay, so 8 bearings all de-shielded. I'm going to put them into a Tesco Finest pea and ham soup container. I find this is the best thing to have in the workshop for this kind of job. Let's pour some white spirits on top. I'm sort of hoping that's going to dissolve the grease and get them all nice and clean. I'll just leave those in there for a little while and we'll see how they do. It does seem to be working. If I pull one out, see a lot of the grease has gone now and it's spinning much more freely, so let's give that a spin with my finger. It's a bit noisy. May not be ideal if it was a skateboard. But I think that's good for a finger spinner. It looks nicer, it spins more freely. These bearings have had a few hours soaking in the white spirit. They spin nice and freely now. So I choose the best one to go in the middle of my spinner. I got some more through the post, so I haven't de-shielded these ones. I realised you could probably just soak these in white spirit and the grease from the inside would dissolve out even with the shields in place. So I've tried that, it's kind of successful. This one's very stiff, won't spin at all. But a couple of the others are quite free now. But it's nothing like as free as the de-shielded ones, so you could try that. You could try soaking that for a bit longer, might have to agitate it a bit more. Maybe do it a few times to rinse the grease out from the inside. That's worth a try. I know some people are using quite fancy ceramic bearings. I've seen them priced at £12 for a single bearing or something, so you could also go for that if you want to, but I think just for a basic first attempt at a spinner, these cheap de-shielded ones seem to do the job. So let's get on and fit the bearings into the wooden spinner. So here's the finished piece of wood for the spinner body, all nicely sanded down to 180 grit, nice and smooth. I've just wiped it with a white spirit to get the dust off, which is why it's looking a bit darker here. Doesn't have any other finish on it yet. I'm going to fit the bearings first and then put some wax finish on this. I think if you wanted to varnish it, then you'd probably want to do that first and then fit the bearings afterwards, otherwise you're going to get the bearings all gummed up with the varnish or paint, whatever you might want to use on your spinner. But I'm going to go ahead and fit these now. Going to stick them in with a bit of super glue in this new fancy container they've started using. Seems to spin nicely. Not perfectly balanced, but then it's made out of wood, so it's not going to be perfectly balanced anyway. If I get myself a CNC machine, I could make it more accurately, but it's pretty good, I think. Quite happy with that. So I'm just going to give it a quick sand off again, just to get a bit of the extra glue off there that got wiped across the wood, and put some wax on it.